Good evening, bonsoir, mesdames et messieurs, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the live Zoom Q&A for our Born of Women 2021 showcase. This is the first time we've ever done a live Q&A at 1:30 in the morning. Huge apologies to everybody who waited this long. The Shift 72 platform did not deliver tonight. It's not what we strive for, and it was incredibly stressful for all of us. Deepest apologies for that, but I'm really glad you stuck it out and saw these brilliant shorts, and now you get to meet a cavalcade of incredible talents. Please welcome almost the entirety of the Born of Women 2021 lineup of filmmakers. Here, scream and cheer for them across your living rooms. Welcome, everyone. In some cases, good morning.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey.
Hello.
Cheers. Thanks for sticking this out with us. So if we can start, everyone has a numerical value beside their names. If we can start with number 1 going down the screens. If you can introduce yourselves and speak a little bit to the process, the genesis of the work of yours that we showed tonight. So starting with Thirza.
Yeah, so my name is Thirza Cuthand. I did She Whistles, Quisquiseu, and it started out as actually a feature film script that Sera-Lys McArthur and I were working on, and we realized to get funding for a feature, I need to prove that I can do a short. So we got funding from the Harold Greenberg Fund to make She Whistles, and it was an incredible experience because I'd never done pyrotechnics and stunts and driving in a directing role. So yeah.
Wow.
Thanks. Annalise?
Hi, my name's Annalise Lockhart. I wrote and directed Inheritance. And the genesis came from a few different directions. The first very obvious one being that the house where the film takes place is my mother and her brother's house in Vermont. But really, I guess the genesis of the film came from the idea of I wanted to find a place in the woods where I could become invisible, and I started out with that, and then I sort of reverse engineered the film from that moment backwards, and that sort of intersected with my love of ghosts and colonialism and all these other things. So yeah.
Amazing. Thanks. Alyssa?
Hi, my name's Alyssa. I'm the writer, director, and editor of Other Bodies. And the film began as a monologue that I had written that was actually almost twice as long as this. It was 25 minutes that I mostly wrote out loud. And then I decided I wanted to try it as a film, and started exploring different ways of shooting it, but quickly sort of settled on the kind of images that we ended up with in this film. As far as the sort of creative genesis, I would say that I was really drawn to sort of, I guess, the relationship between kind of memories of violence and storytelling, and sort of that way that certain kinds of events are kind of best approached through story.
Okay, thanks. Nancy?
I'm here with Heather, so I'm not sure how to do the introductions, but my name is Nancy Menagh, and I wrote, directed, and produced Victim Number 6. And then Heather, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
I'm Heather Brittain O'Scanlon. I played Donna in Victim Number 6, and I produced it with Nancy as well.
And I would say that the genesis of this story sort of began, not with the story itself, but really with Heather reaching out to me because she had just had lunch with Russ Rousseau, who plays Mark in the film, and they had kind of been talking about doing a collaboration. So she reached out to me to see if I had any ideas, and I didn't, but I was happy to brainstorm something. And I think for me, one of the elements in this film that was important was sort of playing on these preconceived notions that we have of men and women out in the world, and sort of how I could use that to sort of use the audience's perception of things against them so that they could sort of see how they perceive things in the world and why they perceive things the way they do and the validity of those things and sort of the commentary on that. And also that characters are very complicated and bad characters and good characters have a lot of different motivations for things. And it's not always, this person's just a bad person. So I like, having the audience sort of root for a character that you wouldn't normally think that you would be rooting for. So that was a big thing for Donna and Heather, the character she portrayed.
Okay. And on your end, Heather, from the performance background, how collaborative were you in finding the character with Nancy?
We spent a lot of time talking about it. I watched a lot of serial killer documentaries, but we talked a lot about the psychology of Donna. Because again, it's not all black and white. People aren't all bad or all good. And there are reasons why they got to be who they are. So yeah, we did a lot of talking about it. Donna was a very layered character. She had a lot of history. She had a lot of strength. She came from a tough background. There were qualities in her I found that I admired. So I started from there.
Okay, thanks. Deanna and Ramsey?
I was working on a story with Claire Robertson and our writer, and we were working on a story about the beautiful grotesque things that are sort of 90s inspired, like the gross and beautiful. And Claire wrote a script based on our story and entered it into a contest, and we won the contest the script won a contest that was going to give us some equipment and some in-kind services and a little bit of money. And then we did a Kickstarter to get the film going and brought Ramsey on as a director of photography, and kind of went from there. So from community support and things like that to get the film going.
It did take a few twists, though.
Yes.
I think the script started as a story about a time traveler.
Yeah, at one point there was.
We dropped the time traveler part.
There was an art thief.
An art thief, a time traveling art thief. Yes.
But, yeah, it's not too late, so we'll see what happens next year.
But studying it in art school, even you're not too far away from art theft at the same time, probably, right?
Yeah, intriguing, right?
Thanks. Emanuela?
Hello to everybody from Brussels. I'm Emanuela Ponzano. I'm the director of A New Perspective. The short film was shot in Italy, in Veneto. The idea was, because I was shocked in 2015 to see in Hungary all these barbed wires built by Orban, and how they treated the migrants. And so I saw really terrible things that were happening, and they are still happening today everywhere. and so I wanted to talk about memory. So I decided I said, how I'm going to do a film about memory, because everything reminds me of 1945, 1940, and things in the past, the barbed wire and all these killings. So I said, I'm going to talk about the image. The image will talk about memory through the eyes of a young child. And I wanted to do a vision film, like an illusion film, and not really a dialogue film, so that you don't see many dialogues in the film. It's a passage of time and through the eyes of a child. And there is also a change of frame during the film, because there is a change of time. And that was the idea.
I love that detail. Thanks. I see Lucía made it. Greetings, Lucía. Oh, your mic is muted.
I fell asleep, Sorry.
So understandable. I see the sun is coming up behind you. I mean, I am so sorry that it ended up this way. This is so much later than we ever normally do this.
For us. Here is another day.
Yeah, literally. I've seen it's like absolute sunrise. It looks beautiful, but man, oh man, I'm so sorry. Exactly.
It's okay.
Cool. So if you can just tell us, first you can introduce yourself to the audience and tell us a little bit about just the genesis of Deanna.
I am Lucía Forner Segarra, the director, producer, and screenwriter of Deanna. And Deanna is about a woman. But you saw the short film, no?
Yeah. I mean, the audience, I'm sure, have.
So, yes, Deanna.
But no, the genesis, like why you would have wanted to make, what led you to make the film?
Why? Okay, so like a few years ago, I was attacked during the night. I was really, really lucky because he didn't rape me, but I was fighting a lot, and I was thinking that is going to happen, and I feel I could kill. I was looking for something to kill him.
Sure.
And yeah, it's like I never feel that for. I never feel that. It's like, okay, it's you or me. And in that moment, you don't have like a pain or anything. You only want to survive because he was struggling me. And I don't know, after a few years, after I was thinking about the idea, and you know that we have a big problem around the world with rapists, and I try to explain a story about that, a fictional one, but it's like it is only about the 30% of the rapists in the world. You know, all the 70% is indoors or with friends, family, you know, but this is like the small part that could be in the streets. So I talk about that. That is the thing that I was more scared of in my life.
That's right. I knew that it was a cathartic film. I hadn't realized to that extent. That's just, wow. I'm glad you're okay.
Yes, no, I am okay because he didn't rape me. I was really lucky, and because he was not okay, and at the end.
Good. So you fucked him up basically.
Yes, but I don't know how. It's like I never in my life I study martial arts or anything.
Yeah.
But suddenly I have like I kick him like in a I don't know how it's crazy. But
were you able to report him? Was he able to be like properly caught?
He went to prison.
Fantastic! Wow, this is all amazing. So you kicked the shit out of him, and he's in prison. I didn't.
No, I don't know if he is still in prison because I didn't ask. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't need to know. But well, I don't know. I was afraid to call, and if they say that this out, in that time I didn't have any social media. So because when you report an attack. That guy or girl will know your name. For that reason, I understand why we don't know how many bad things happen, because people is scared of give the name, you know? He will know everything about you, and it's like, why? But no, I was lucky because he was not okay with maybe some alcohol, I don't know what, but I have a skirt. Oh, how do you say?
Like a scarf?
A scarf. Yes.
Okay.
And he couldn't do it properly. So at the end, he was, I suppose, tired, and he threw me, and I kicked him, and I ran. And I called the police, and the police catch him. And after we have, as the films, the
security footage?
Yeah, you have like 8 people, similar 8
perfect.
people, and you have to say which one is.
Right. Oh, you mean right, like a lineup to identify.
Yes, and after we went to. No, but it was like 8 years ago, and with the short film, I cry when I write. I cry when I shoot and when I edit, because the caravan thing, and there are things that it happened to you when you suffer an attack after you are really scared, and you reproduce the attack during the nights, and you are really afraid to be alone, and and you can't have any contact. It's like, hey, don't touch me. So yes, it was like, I don't know if therapeutic, but yes, Dana was like a personal story, but not personal, because if it was personal, I will be in prison, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to confess tonight. But I'm glad you're able to channel it into a film like this, and the film speaks with such conviction. I mean, it's powerful. Wow, what a backstory! I'm so sorry. I didn't know. Wow.
I don't know. I don't want to. I know it's a drama. You can say that. And for one moment, they say to me that maybe I couldn't get in some horror festivals because I had drama. And it's like, of course I have drama. You can't display that as a exploitation, like, it's like,
yeah, of course.
You have to have drama. But I even want to have, like, I have some dark comedy. I like to put some
dark humor.
Yeah. It's like, I don't want people to cry about that. It's like, hey, we want revenge.
I mean, the blood visor thing is funny, but it is a very anguished film. I think it hits with a really strong severity that's just fantastic. Okay, so just to move through, so what we'll do now, this is a super tacky question, but it brings out the best stories. Starting from everyone has a numerical value, starting with number 1 with Thirza. If you can tell us your best and worst, or maybe just most challenging moment making your film.
Oh, well, we got funding to do it, and then COVID happened, so that pushed it back. And like an issue with like everybody's films. But I mean, I think the other thing too is just that it was like 2 night shoots, and so it was like in August, and there was like a limited amount of hours that you can actually film because we were shooting outside. And then I think the other thing too is just all the fire. Like originally I envisioned setting like a stuntman on fire, but we like didn't have the budget because I guess that's really expensive. And then we're looking into VFX fire, and then that's also really expensive. And so it was like trying to figure out how to navigate shooting the fire scenes without actually setting somebody on fire. Also, I was just like talking to the stunt person, and I was like, yeah, and then he's on fire and he's talking, and she's like, someone is on fire, they can't like talk, like you just can't film that. So yeah, so I learned a lot about stunts, and just like the entire thing was like the first, like I usually make experimental films, so this was the first time I'd like used like a whole crew and professional actors, and so it was like a big step.
And it's great that you made it. I mean, you have such a long history making experimental films. I think you started in 1995, right?
Yeah.
So great. I mean, that's why when you first mentioned that the people writing the Harold Greenberg Fund wanted you to do a proof of concept so they can see you can direct. I was like, don't they know that you can direct after all this work? But yeah, it's true, for a full-on narrative. I can see it. I hope they're convinced now. They must be proud of the film.
Yeah, the thing is, Harold Greenberg Fund is like no more. So, but it's like we're hoping to get telefilm money, and we did get some telefilm money for development for the feature script. So, so hopefully, like we're going to do one more pass at the script, and then hopefully apply for some production funds, and hopefully this will prove that we can do it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I can think of a number of producers that I think would really want to get involved with a project like this. If I can ask, I mean, to expand this into a feature, I presume it wouldn't be a feature length, like super tense cab ride.
No,
or would
yeah.
it be? Because that could work. I mean, it would just be a sustained tension thing.
Yeah.
How are you, without spoiling anything, if you can go into just a little bit of how you would do a feature adaptation?
Yeah, I mean, basically, it's based on real things that are happening in Saskatchewan and across Canada, where Indigenous women are being like preyed on by like like a lot of people, and like especially
All over
in Canada,
Canada.
and especially like by police. So it's like the feature film is sort of about kind of this conspiracy of people that are preying on Indigenous women, and the lead character Stephanie gets this power and has to choose how to kick ass and save her loved ones. And yeah, so it's a whole big film. Yeah, and a lot of tension, and I don't know, it's a lot.
And still set in Saskatoon?
Yeah, but it kind of sucks because Saskatchewan doesn't have a film tax credit anymore, so we're probably gonna have to shoot in Manitoba or something. Really weird. Yeah,
I mean, Saskatchewan being what it is, but then like Saskatoon itself is such a creepy city in certain ways, and the way Saskatoon looks in your film, it just feels so dark and dangerous. And
yeah,
I mean, I guess you can make any city look that way, but you have a great skill with that. I really hope that you can amp that even more for the feature. It'd be beautiful.
Thanks. Yeah, we filmed it in Toronto, actually. So,
what?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it makes us mostly just driving against dark, but still darkness. Wow.
Yeah, we filmed by Cherry Beach, so.
Wild. Okay, so then it doesn't matter if you have to abandon Saskatchewan. You're fine. And can I ask, the whispering that we hear on the soundtrack in different places of the film, can you speak to that for a little?
Yeah, so that's Nehiyah, which is known in English as Plains Cree. It's like because I'm a Nehiyah person, so we use that to like simulate that, like because it's the ancestors coming down. So we wanted sort of the voices of the ancestors, and sort of like implied is that her mother's one of the voices that is like coming to save her. So yeah, but like none of us really speak Cree, so we were kind of like looking through Cree dictionaries trying to find words that like might be like useful for it. So yeah, that's how we built that soundtrack.
Fantastic. Thanks. Annalise.
Hi. I just want to say the cab driver guy, I hated him so much, and I was like, oh, but he's an actor, but he acted in that way, and I was like, but he needs to die. So I was happy about that.
Skin crawl. The way he delivers that line, I think you're the first Native girl I've ever met who doesn't have kids. It's like, I mean, my blood pressure started to rise just on that line read, but everything about it, the way he uses his eyes, the way he moves, like, and that actor is just. Yeah, sorry?
The whistling was like grating.
And it's amazing. He has a history of playing baddies. He actually came to Fantasia many years ago for the world premiere of a film called The Dark Hours, where he's every bit as terrifying in that. And he was in History of Violence. He's a very, very nice guy, but plays fantastic scumbags on screen. So yeah, Inheritance.
Right. Wait, so the question was worst?
Oh no, just like, I mean, you can freestyle however you want, really.
Okay,
but like
fun
as a starting
memories.
point, best and worst or best and most challenging moment from your shoot.
Yeah, I mean, I think that one thing we really didn't know how the tubing was going to work out in the end. That was like a big part of the process. We're just working on like the science fiction elements in like production design and how they were going to function. So that was kind of like fun, but like the whole time we were like, I don't know if this is gonna work. And in the end, the art director Cooper individually threaded like EL wire, essentially, like type of lights through all of the tubes, and like built this structure. So that was really fun. But we had a lot of like diagrams. We were like, these trees are connected over here, and like we got really like nerdy about it. So that was pretty fun. I think I was just thinking, I haven't like mentioned this talking about the film, but Bob, who's one of the ghosts, he did this thing. The makeup was really, this is another tough thing for shooting. The makeup was really like, smelled really good that they were wearing. So the bugs really liked it.
Oh,
so
and you're like, stand further into the forest, more into the
exactly
trees and
like go into the exactly and go into this fog, which like they probably also liked. So it wasn't like full swarm, but it was definitely like a lot of bugs. And so he did this thing where he blinked one eye and then he blinked the other eye, and it was like amazing and super creepy. And I was like, just do that every take now. And it was like a mistake because he had like these flies going into his face. Yeah, but honestly,
that's a
like
happy accident. That's great.
It was a happy accident. Honestly, it was a really
character
great...
through a reflexive muscle moment. It's like that you do now for the next 8 hours.
That is you. Be the bug man. So, but yeah, the set, the whole thing was just so much. It was really fun, and it was like big family vibes with the whole crew. And that where the cabin is, there's no cell service or internet or anything, which was definitely like a production thing to work through, but it actually ended up making set really like thoughtful and intentional, because nobody was on their phones, like including me. So we were just all there when we got to set, which was pretty special.
Nice. And the family vibe extends to the cast, because I mean that there's a real, you believe that they're a family.
Right. Yeah, that's great.
So well performed. There's such a warmth to them, and the way they bounce off each other.
That's great to hear. I mean, I think that that was like my number one goal in casting, was like, it always bothers me when I'm watching a film and I'm like, these people are all great, but I don't necessarily believe that they're a family. And yeah, Ron DeLeon and Victoria really got into it together, and that was just so fun. And it ended up, and because they just gelled so quickly, we definitely got into more improv and a lot more of the scenes.
Nice.
Because it was like, you know, dialogue is great, but it's sort of like, you know, you want to see what they'd actually be doing, and they'd be having a conversation about something and kind of observe it that way. So.
Yeah, and just little moments like when they're washing the dishes together and stuff like that. I mean, it's so beautiful.
DeLeon's rapping and they're dancing. Yeah.
You mentioned Ron. That is a major get. I mean, it's just incredible that he came on for a short. How did you bring him on?
Thank you. I've been saying this all the time. Yeah, I honestly did a post on Backstage, and he replied to it.
Wow.
And yeah, and he, like, his tape was super strange, and like I met him at the production office, and yeah, like so lucky to have made that connection. And he actually took a break from acting, and he was doing a lot more music and like I think like sculpture and like carpentry and things, and like has just started acting again. So I think that was part of it too, where he was like, I'll do this short. But yeah, I want to do like every movie with him now.
I hope you can.
Every time I email him, every time I have an email exchange with him, he like sends me his favorite bass line. Like, yeah. I'm obsessed with this dude.
That is so cool. Do you want to talk a little about the? I love the supernatural science, vibratory electricity aspect of the film. Do you want to talk a little about the roots of that?
Yeah. So I knew that I wanted the maple tapping lines to be how this force field was created, because, you know, the family like works the land, they treat it with respect in so many ways. And so I wanted it to be clear that like their relationship to these trees is part of what like in the end keeps them safe. And I was sort of like, well, there's not, sap isn't running through them. So I was like, you know, what types of energy do trees emit? And I got really deep into this research hole around how trees generate electricity and can be batteries.
That's real?
That's real.
I was not aware. That's incredible.
That is real, 100% real. So yeah, most of the things he's saying in that monologue are true. And then like really fake. But it was important for me to sort of like ground the made up science in some facts as much as threading it together.
It plays plausibly, absolutely. Like to me, it echoes back to like the Nigel Neal type science fiction, like the Quatermass style stuff, where there's always an aspect of genuine scientific fact. And if everything around it is talked about with real seriousness, it just feels plausible enough that you can go with it. And it works just brilliantly in Inheritance. It's so fantastic.
And thank you. And, you know, I think I was doing that dance and then kept explaining more and more. And then I had to like reel it back in. And that's where the idea for the McCoy field came from, which is like sort of wanting to create like some phrase or box where it's clear that they know what it is, but it's like a mystery to us. And that is original to the film. And I, you know, named it after Elijah McCoy, who's this Black inventor.
Okay, I was gonna ask.
Yeah, he's American Canadian Black inventor from like turn of the 19th century, who made this lubrication for railroads that like made the trains run a lot faster. But he had like hundreds of patents, so you know it's possible that he could have experimented with different sorts of science and like stretch things. So that's sort of the like world that I imagine DeLeon's character living in, and like what he's thinking about and reading, and like love the idea that he's in this sort of like lineage of these inventors.
That is so cool. And the whole device works in a poetic way with the allegory of the film and the bigger picture. So it's just, it's perfect. It's so smart.
Thank you.
Sorry, not to gush over it. I adore that film so much. It's such a great, like an unusual approach to ghosts and hauntings. The social allegories are brilliant. It's just such a phenomenal work.
Thank you so much.
Cheers. Okay.
Now I wish that the McCoy field really worked.
No, stay. Yeah. Cheers. Okay, so number 3 is what? Sorry, Alyssa. Hi. I'm so
Hi.
The numbers aren't appearing in order on my screen, and it's like 2 a.m, so I'm cross-eyed. Apologies.
So sort of best and worst moments from kind of making the film. I think for me, my favorite moments from set were all of the surprises, especially whenever we captured a sort of piece of like an image that we weren't expecting. So, when we figured out how to shoot the books in a way that made it kind of look like skin, or when we figured out how to shoot the soccer scene where you're really close to the soccer players' bodies. We actually had to make this, like, we had to make the soccer players move in slow motion because the macro lens is so big that it looks, the only way to even get it in focus is to move like in.
And to even keep them in frame when you're shooting that close. I mean, the slightest move, your depth of field is gone and they're mostly out of frame when it's a macro ECU.
Yeah, exactly. And so like every moment like that where we found a way to shoot something that we weren't exactly sure until we got to set was even possible, really, that's sort of what has really stayed with me. As far as what was challenging, I think the editing process was really demanding because we shot it in such a odd way and in such a kind of unconventional way, to make it possible to cut between people and things and books and, you know, whatever kind of went into our grab bag. There had to be this slight drift to the camera the whole time. So in order to make those cuts work, everything had to be in motion. Yeah. And so trying to figure out, you know, what is a cut that can work and what is a cut that won't work when you're operating outside the bounds of conventional coverage.
Yeah, because there's no over the shoulder. It's all like the assembly of these amazing close-ups and detail shots and performance moments. It reminded me a lot of early Nicholas Roeg work. I mean, it's very much its own distinct film, of course, but I mean, it feels to me like to a point, the editing style and the obsessive visual detail really struck me as like early Nicholas Roeg, Donald Cammell type stuff. Gorgeous.
Yeah, film. So it was just yes. So it's like establishing the rules of the rules that the editing was going to obey, and then cut kind of into it. I think was what was most challenging.
How extensively shot listed was it? I imagine pretty to a T, with room for experimentation maybe, but because to me it seems so obsessive in particular. I love that.
It is very obsessive and particular. You know, I think that the way that we storyboarded it was basically the cinematographer and I had a lot of conversations about how we wanted it to feel. And then we just sent these kind of deranged long emails back and forth for months. And so it was obsessive, but it wasn't obsessive in the way that I think the films usually are obsessive, right? It wasn't exactly storyboarded to a T. It was more theorized to a T. And so we were just really on the same page, which was, I think, what allowed us to experiment on set.
Okay. And in the writing structure, I mean, the film has this really unique meditative tone to it. The way you transition between, story and literary type aspects in a way that's organic and very emotionally anchored. Do you want to speak to that interesting structure?
Sure. That structure was the thing that was in the film from the very beginning and was always the most organic aspect of it. So, I wanted to write this story about somebody who was trying to talk about something, but they couldn't quite get it out. And as I was writing it, sort of inside the character, I felt how hard it was to even get 2 or 3 sentences out about his ex-girlfriend, but how comfortable he felt talking about all these like books that he loved, and retelling them in a way that was definitely not faithful to the source text, but retelling them in a way that sort of dropped him off emotionally at the next place he needed to be to kind of keep telling the story. And so that kind of winding structure of a little bit of the story kind of spinning out into this thing that is much more comfortable for him to talk about, and then kind of folding it all the way back into the story and kind of doing that all the way through. The original script, 25-minute version of the script, had way more of that. It had maybe 10 diversions, and so it really took pages and pages and pages to finally get to that confession, whatever that confession is.
Did you record the voiceover for the 25-minute version?
Yes.
Oh, I'd love to hear that
Yes.
sometime.
We did record that, actually. Yeah.
I don't know if you'd ever want to share it. If you're comfortable sharing, I'd love to hear it because the writing style is so
Cool.
strong.
Yeah, I'd love to. That'd be really
Wow,
cool,
thank
actually.
you. I love this film. I mean, incredibly unsettling stuff, to say the least. Very, very disturbing, but aesthetically so stunning, so powerful.
Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations. It's truly remarkable.
Thanks.
So, Nancy and Heather.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
I'll actually be curious if Heather has the same like pro con as I do. I don't know if you want to start, Heather.
Oh gosh, I could start with like one of the cons. So in order to afford our bar scene, and we had a couple of night scenes that were outdoor as well, we did entirely overnight shoots. So it was a 4-day shoot, all overnight. That was definitely an adjustment. One of the days,
Not that we don't love being here at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Please don't get us wrong. We love it. We did it, but I agree with Heather on that one. Go on. Sorry.
Yeah, that took its toll. But the last night of shooting, I should say, it was just really, really cold, and it was outdoor scenes. And somehow, I don't know how, but not a single person on our crew, Nance, was dressed appropriately for the weather. Like not our crew, not our, like none of our cast. Like, I don't know how none of us thought it was, because it was like, what, middle of April? I guess we were just thinking.
We were delusional, I guess, and figured it was warm. So
Yeah,
we had like a
was.
rotation of crew members just like rolling in and out of my mom's car because she was kind of like the shuttle transport. And my poor mom was like, okay, who do we need? She's like sending people out to set. It was crazy.
Yeah. So that was maybe the toughest part. I'd say we spent nearly a year on pre-pro, so we didn't have a lot of surprises come up. It was a relatively smooth shoot, I have to say, except for that one night when nobody had the right jackets on. But and one of the best things, I don't know. I love moments on set with the cast, like laughing with Michael Sean Sorelli with that awkward hug. I just like belly laughed over, like it was a great cast, a great chemistry with everyone on set, really. But yeah, moments like that, just I miss it and I want to go back. So yeah.
And what, like, I personally loved when you walked in the first day and everyone's in their costume, and there's like, we did a nice group shot in front of the bar where it's everybody in their full
everybody but me.
outfits.
I wasn't there for the shot. It was a nice picture.
You were getting your hair done. But I mean, there's some inside with you as well. And it just, the whole feeling, you know, walking around and feeling like you're sort of transported somewhere else. I feel like we all go to the movies to kind of be transported somewhere else. So to walk on a set and it's like you're in another universe is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Was the period detail difficult to pull off on a short film budget?
So like yes and no. Well, we had a wonderful production designer and we worked in an amazing bar location that, I mean, it was really the color, the yellow, sort of like all of the tones. We picked up a lot of inspiration from just how it was designed. It was designed to be sort of like a retro throwback. So he came in and supplemented a lot of that. And then with, you know, the interior of Donna's apartment, we shot that in my mom's apartment. So he literally bought couches. He's like, I'm having 2 couches delivered to your house. And I'm like, what? I had like call my mom. I'm like, Mom, just like, it's going to be fine. But, you know, I think that you bring people on board who like know what the details are that you're looking for, and you sort
Sure.
of talk it out. Even with the wardrobe, Amanda Kraut Carmona, she did a wonderful job sort of picking up these authentic and vintage pieces. And we had both, Pinterest boards, and we, sort of talked about what might this character sort of be doing in their day to day, and like what kind of style they might have adopted that works in their lifestyle. And, it kind of creates this big picture. And yes, it's challenging because it's not as accessible as obviously the here and now, but you bring on good people and you work closely and you talk and you communicate and you get everything you need sort of comes your way, if that makes sense.
Fantastic. I mean, the details flawless, and also just the force of the direction, the screenwriting, the performance. I mean, all of them, the lead, obviously. I mean, it's just, it works so fantastically.
Thank you.
So yeah, amazing. And also congratulations, you won an award last night, didn't you?
We
Or was
were.
it 2 days ago?
Sunday. Yeah, we had a bunch. So we got a bunch of different things at the festival, and including I got Best Director. So I was very flattered, and
Well deserved.
it's a humbling thing because it's one of those things, like the art has to be good enough in and of itself outside of what anybody else thinks. So if it literally was never seen by anybody, I would be very proud of it for what it is. If it was like only me and Heather watched the movie, I'm very happy about it, but it's nice when other people enjoyed watching what you produced. So
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thanks. So Deanna and Ramsey.
Well, I bet you have the same.
We had a few doozies.
Yeah.
Few what? Doozies, you say?
Doozies, yeah.
I think I mean, it's the beginning and the end of the film for me, because of course, like the blood stuff in the end was a whole, it was the best part, honestly. It was amazing. Like, we built a blood cannon for the blood to explode out of, and then we had to put plastic on the ceiling because the blood would fly up and hit the ceiling, and we had to throw blood in the actors' faces, and they were all so down for that, and we tried it first where Ramsey was throwing blood in my face.
We experimented with different viscosity.
Yeah, different kinds of blood, and
different
I don't know.
makes
You
of
guys
blood.
all use Nick Dudman blood. Do you know that blood? It's that
Guzman blood?
There's a great Hollywood blood made by, it's called Nick Dudman, and it's
Dudman.
It's the stuff.
Yeah.
But it was, we actually enlisted the help of a friend of mine who's he actually is an old Film Board of Canada and CBC editor who spent his life making social justice documentaries. And then we were like, David, can you help us build a blood cannon? And he said, absolutely. I realized that I've wasted my entire life making social justice documentaries when I could be doing this stuff. It'd be way more fun.
He's a genre fan, like horror fan.
So that was tough.
It was fun. It was so fun, that part. And yeah, it was a blast. But I think the opening shot for us was tough.
It's mind-blowing. That shot is so, how long did it take you just to block that? It's such an elaborate shot.
Yeah, but that was the thing. And so we did do a rehearsal day before we started shooting with the actors and with our camera operator, who is an incredibly gifted steady camera operator. And we kind of treated it like a dance. And a lot of the kids in the scene were theater actors. So
perfect.
Claire Robertson, our writer, wrote character biographies for all of the extras, and we gave all the extras like a full background, like a name and a background of who they were, so they all knew who they were. They all had specific costumes, and everybody had like a thing. So, and I told them, like, we may whip the camera around and see you, so you have to be like alive. And
Everybody's alive.
Yeah. So all the rooms in the school had something going on, and it really felt like, you were in the world. So if Chen, our camera operator, would turn around and see somebody, then they would be ready for it. And so we rehearsed it, and that night when we got the footage back, it wasn't quite right. Like, it felt kind of like a little
staged.
Yeah. And I was really, really worried. And I said to Ramsey that night, like, I think we should do a backup take, like a POV, just in case. And he's like, no, don't do it. And I'm like, no, I think
you gotta commit. You gotta commit.
Just in case we need like a POV of just if we need to cut away, then we have it. And then so I had that in my back pocket. I'm like, if it all goes wrong, I'm gonna do the POV shot just so I can cut if I need to. And and so we were at like, what was it, take 9 or something like that?
Take 9.
Yeah, and then this is a short film. You guys know how it is. There's no time or money to like waste on one thing. So, by like take 9, it wasn't quite there. And I had music in Chen in the camera operator's ears, like earbuds, and then Caitlin, the lead actress, had the same song playing right before the take, so that they had the same rhythm as they were walking. And then it felt like they were in a musical, and then all of a sudden they started moving together in this cool way, and it just worked. Yeah. And then on that, that 9th take where it was like, we were almost not gonna do it. And I was saying to Ramsey, I think I should do the POV thing. It's like, no, keep going. So we did the 10th one. And when we finally got it, the whole cast and crew burst into applause at the end.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
It was such a relief. And so exciting to finally get it, and then we could finally move on, but yeah, that was hard.
Yeah, it was like this sort of albatross that hung over us right at on the very, very first day, of the very first shot we did. And it was like,
that was your very first shot of the production?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So any of the crew that didn't know, that hadn't worked with you previously, would just be like, this is going to be insane.
Yeah.
People are insane. Yeah. But
we're really proud of it, and it's one of the favorite parts of the movie.
Yeah.
How many actors appear in it? I mean, for a traveling shot that just goes on and on, people crisscrossing the frame.
Yeah, 27.
27.
Wow.
27.
Beautiful.
Yeah, we filled it up, and it was, and it really was. Unfortunately, it's gone, but it really was it was an active art school that we managed to land in January. So like all the stuff on the walls, all that, it was sort of like a time capsule of an art school from the 90s.
Yeah.
So this was all stuff that was actually there, that they had put up 20 odd years ago and left?
That had been there. And the other fun fact is the mean teacher character who comes in and starts, yelling at her. He actually had been a student at he now is himself an art instructor, but he was a student at that school and had received a similar sort of, going over, dressing down by one of the professors who was there. I think it was
victim becomes the victimizer.
But
have either of you attended art school?
No, but like filmmaking,
film festivals, film festivals.
We're used to being rejected.
But Claire, writer Claire, she had actually been to art school, and she, and so a lot of people who have actually been to art school, they're like, oh my God, that is like, the critique sessions are
it looks so harsh,
crazy,
and it doesn't seem so satirical. It seems pretty close to the truth.
Yeah. An exercise in total humiliation. So
for sure.
Yeah.
Anna, can you talk maybe a little bit about your approach to using color?
Yeah, well, we were really inspired by like the giallo kind of Dario Argento.
I felt some Dario.
I became sort of obsessed with it. Obsessed with, and I was like, I want to make I want to shoot a kind of a crazy giallo movie.
Yeah.
And as luck would have it, it would be set at an art school in the 90s. But but to sort of explore that hyper chromatic world where everything's super saturated and there's all this color and there's all this sort of stylized stuff. That felt like that would be was so much fun. I was just absolutely in love with trying to do something like that.
Yeah, and we really wanted the film to feel like a big art project itself too. So
that makes sense.
That's part of it, as well as like that hyper color. And we shot partly on some expired film, some 35mm film that was in Ramsey's freezer forever. So
perfect.
Not since the 90s, but I think some of the stock actually is from the 90s. So it's sort of got that.
Could it have been Ektachrome? Did you shoot on Ektachrome by chance?
No, it wasn't.
Okay, because it almost has that old Ektachrome.
I know
look to
it does. I think when we
Sorry, not to get too geeky here.
No. But our colorist pushed it a little bit in that direction. But was an Eastman color stock.
Pretty much all the magic realism stuff is done on film, which helps our practical effects. So
yeah,
very cool.
Oh, and also the other challenge, which I wasn't totally present for, but was when you were creating the beating hearts.
Yeah.
The small beating heart.
Which my daughter and I made. We boiled a beet. And then we put it in a condom. And then we put aquarium tubing out of it and then just hid the aquarium tubing with like a little pump. But it worked beautifully. It really looked like a little heart. But
yeah, it reads amazing on camera.
Yeah, but we had the whole kitchen was filled with like all this weird stuff trying to get this heart made, and
a lot of KY jelly to try to give it a certain sheen around it. Yeah, it's the things we do.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thanks.
Thank
you.
So
Emanuela.
Oops.
You muted. There you go.
Hello. So that was very, very difficult because it was in November 2019, and the light was going away at 4:00 in the afternoon, and so we had really little time to do all the schedules.
Right.
And so
so many actors
running every day. Yeah. We were running every day to do everything, and it was, we had this terror thing, it's the light is going down, the light is going down. And I found this little girl that you see in the film, which is Allegra Michelazzo.
The crying girl?
And the crying girl. And
so heavy.
I did so many casting to find a little girl that could cry so naturally, and it was so difficult. And at the end I found her, but I didn't rehearsal very much with her. So the light was going down, and she was ready, and I was kind of, I hope she's gonna do it okay. And she was surprisingly amazing. She cried like she never cried in her life. Her mother was next to her to support her, and we were all like this because she was better than actors. She was so impressive, and so we did it in just one time.
You didn't have to coerce that performance at all? She just gave that to you?
Yes.
That's incredible. The mother must have done lots of background work with her, I imagine. I can't imagine any actor of that age be able to just turn it on. It's something so emotionally raw.
Yes, she was incredible. Her mother too was incredible, because she was like, a coach acting.
Okay.
Those kind of American, really very hard actor studio. And I said, wow, she was magic. That was a magical moment. And
that's really good fortune. And it brings so much weight to the film. That scene is so harrowing.
It was so important because there is not very much dialogues, like I said before. So everything is emotions and precise moments that has to be real and strong. And the other bad thing was two bad things. We had a crazy neighbor because we were in the forest. And
I was about to ask. It didn't look like the kind of area you'd have neighbors. So there was a neighbor. There was like a forest neighbor.
There were some neighbors in the part of the little house, the destroyed.
Oh, sure,
house.
Right, yeah.
And there was some other houses just. But you don't see it in the film, of course. And just one night, this crazy neighbor cut all the trees in front of the house because he needed. I don't know why. Maybe he wanted to. And I was going mad because we really needed all these trees, for
sure.
the zoo. And I was why he's, so we tried to find him, we tried to find other trees, and so we replaced some trees, you know, to just in front of the house, just to have
to cheat it a bit.
To recreate the forest, and that was terrible. So that was, and another surprise was the rain, because the one of the last days we had all this shooting with all these people behind the barbed wire.
Right.
And so it was an important, you know, massive global thing. And we needed all these people. And just precisely that day, the rain started to come. And so we waited. Then it went away. And so we ran to shoot them. It was like, you know, this kind of games, you know, every day it was, because all the film is outside, and so the weather was very, very important for us. And so we had to wait 1 month to do that scene again.
Oh man.
With all the people and dressed like in the past, and then
it rains on that day after waiting a month to get to it.
So that was crazy. It was very difficult, a difficult production, but fortunately I had a very a strong cinematographer.
It's gorgeously shot.
Daniele Cipri, which is a master of. So I was helped by his experience, and it was very interesting. But because we prepared a lot the film before shooting, because we knew that we had little time, you know, to go over.
And technically, it's still very elaborate stuff. Do you want to talk a little bit more about the changing aspect ratios, the changing frame sizes?
Yes, that was my idea from the first moment that I wrote the short film, because I really wanted to put the public and all the people that will watch the film into the film, and with the emotion of the film. And so to talk about how can you talk about time and memory, doing like, you know, a travel with the little boys in the woods, and to let the public feel that I had to move. And so I wanted to move also the frame to tell the different movement of the camera and the ratio of the film that could bring this sensation of changing time, changing point of view, changing vision, changing. But the history it's always repeating. So I needed to, you know, to find this circle, and to move with the boys, and all these objects that are coming up. It's also to, you know, to create an importance of the objects, because all these people who are living and walking in the streets, they put their life in the streets, and they're also important. They're also characters. It's not. So that's why I wanted to give some importance to the objects of the memory, the objects of their private life. And when you have to go away, what do you take with you? What do you think you're gonna put in the bag? What will I take when I don't have time, but I have to go? And so I wanted to give some, with digital effects. This kind of scene could be something that could, you know, elevate and poetically the surrealism of the vision of the boy, and even if it's in his head, but maybe not.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so well executed.
Thank you.
And tragically endlessly pertinent from one year to the next. There'll always be a new country that the analogy could be made with. It seems like it's never going to end. I mean,
No,
just saying, it world premieres right after the whole world is watching what's happening in Afghanistan.
exactly.
I mean,
Now all these
different,
people
but not
that
so
they
different.
run, they're gonna run. Some they're gonna run. Some they're gonna run to take the plane,
Yeah.
like we saw yesterday. And but we have to live with that. I mean, there's no walls to build. And now in these precise moments, it's the opposite. We have to understand and help,
Mm-hmm.
and not divide. And so I was crazy about that, because I said, wow, but we wanted to go out of the Second World War, and now we have all these walls that are building now. It's like an opposition about.
I mean, as you wrote, despite Europe.
Yes, it was 5 years ago, and there were the soldiers were shooting in the forest to kill some migrants, and police were able to do that, and they were keeping things away from these guys, and then I said, wow, but this is like 1940, and we're going back. So I was terrified. This is human horror film.
Yeah.
It's a present horror film.
It really is.
I'm laughing, but there's nothing to laugh.
Oh, I completely understand. Yeah.
Yes. And
It just speaks to. Oh, sorry.
I have some Hungarian origin, and I was more concerned about what was happening in Hungary, but now we have it in the Balkans, we have in Greece recently, we have in France also, everywhere.
And neighboring countries never seem to care. I mean, in a sense, where people are civic minded to the people that are their immediate physical neighbors on their block, but somehow there isn't that same sense of just basic civic responsibility to the well-being of people not very far away at all.
Yeah, but this is
the way people wanted to, as you say, putting up walls absolutely everywhere, and allowing terrible things to happen 20 feet away.
That we can solve, yes, we can solve with books, and we can go to school and think that maybe we will never repeat what the Nazi did, but you don't understand that maybe it's going on just around the corner in the street.
Yeah. I mean, even without full-on operational camps, I mean, just in terms of that sort of nativist mindset that allows that kind of otherness and that kind of violence, it's
it's our responsibility to. I mean, we are all involved in this.
Yeah.
And we cannot go and look at a book and say, oh, I won't do that like them. And then we don't understand that it's just, why should we celebrate memory in January? You know, the 19th of January is the celebration of the Memory Day. But why should we celebrate Memory Day if the memory of today is the same? So where is memory? So that was the point, and so that's the past and the present. Where is the line?
Yeah, it feels like there's no line. It's just a straight circle. It really shouldn't be.
And we are all involved, and it's just a question. So that's what I wanted to talk about, you know, with this moving time, and this beautiful boy that I found, this kid, in all the three kids in Hungary. They did an amazing job, because they didn't know each other, and they really acted like friends, and that was fine. It's not so easy to find little children that are good.
Yeah.
And very natural.
Yeah, they're hugely naturalistic with each other. Absolutely.
And it was difficult because not all the parents were okay with what I wanted to tell in the film. So sometimes you have,
that must have been an interesting set dynamic.
Yes, so there was some debate sometimes, and
shoot.
And
how did the kids feel about that? Were they aware that their parents disagreed with the spirit of the project?
Yes, they knew, but they were so happy to do a movie. So
that's the way. Can you imagine just be like, look, Mom, I'm working. Leave me alone.
Yeah, exactly. I'm doing that. and so yes, they're hearing things, debates, but what I like in children is that they have their own freedom of thinking, and that's the most beautiful thing. Yes, they hear, they can read, but then they go straight and they play because they like to play. And this is the power of children.
All right. Thank you very much.
Grazie.
Yeah. Oh, you're muted. Hi. Hey.
Hi.
So
it's a really deepest conversation for a coffee in the morning.
I hear you.
I'm trying to be focused.
Sorry.
No, really interesting. Really interesting. Tell me, I have to ask to answer your question. I don't remember the.
Oh, I'm sorry. You don't absolutely have to answer this specific
okay.
question, but the general idea was if you want to go into maybe the best experience on your shoot and the worst or the most challenging or difficult moment of your production. It's very general, but it brings out great stories almost always.
The worst, of course, as all the short films, I think, maybe if you are rich, no, but is having the money to do it.
Sure.
The crow, and after it's like you don't have enough money for all the things, so you have to ask for favors. No, people is working for you, but it's not working as the commercial prices, so you have to wait the dates. We have the problem with the just say yes to the short film, but we didn't.
I saw that though.
But we didn't have it finished. CJ's Film Festival.
Angel and Mike are old. Monica's on our jury this year, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I love the CJ's team.
Yeah, CJ's is amazing. So CJ's say yes, and we didn't have the short film, like we send it a work in progress version, and suddenly we have to finish it in 1 month, in 2 months. So my mom is recording me. Mom.
No, it's okay. And we're gonna have this recording.
It's like I have suddenly I am talking to you and my mom was backwards, like.
Yeah, so your eye line changes.
Okay. Sorry.
But tell your mom we're actually shooting this as well. Not shooting it, but we're recording it as well. And it's going to be on our YouTube and also on the Shift 72 platform.
Mamá, que después lo podrás ver, no te preocupes. So of course, my mom and all my family participate in the short film. My family, I have a big debt with my family, a money one. I am still paying the short film because we have a grant, but we need another one, and they say no. I think it's a delicate, the revenge thing. To have a grant from the government, is not easy.
No, with institutional sponsors, it's always tough. We get grants as well for Fantasia to a point, and I mean, yeah, it's always all the institutions want to help, I find, in general, but they're so limited, and they keep cutting the pie thinner and thinner because they have to try to get more people. But it's hard. On your side, though, once CHS invited the film, I would have thought that they would have given you a completion fund grant. Because it's an A-list festival, it's of such industry importance. That you would think the institution, the government would have given you completion funding for that.
The Valencian government give me part of the money, but I asked for the grant to the main government, ICA, and I have with the previous short films, I have all covered with that grant because it's a good one. You asked for.
So Marta was funded with that grant?
Yes.
Okay.
Marta and Creo que te quiero both was you have like the half of the money at the beginning, and if they like at the end of the short film, you ask again for a grant, and they give it to you another one if they like it. So with both I have both, and with this one they say no to the project. With Dana, they say no. I think it's complicated. Some people really like it and some people no. But it's strange because now the people from the merchandise from the ICA, like the institution, is like one of them. He really liked the short film and he's moving for the festivals, and he's like, okay. But he's not the one who decides who deserves the grant or not. But we will see. I am still waiting. I asked for the second one 1 month ago, and I am waiting. Maybe
just to pay off the debts now.
Yes, maybe in 2 months I will be free of debts, or maybe no.
Oof. And the thing is, Dana's played many festivals now. How many places has it been at?
40 and counting. I don't know.
Isn't that proof of worth to any government funding body?
And we have that is we have a lot of public audience awards, but from the jury we have some, but no and we have one from the critics in Spain. That this is really straight for me. I didn't expect that one.
That makes sense.
Is the critics in Spain has give you the Feroz is a prize, and my mom is still recording me. Mom, es que de verdad es que me distraes. We have sorry.
It's okay.
Feroz. I am in my parents' cottage, as you see, and they are
I guess your mom's a morning person?
Yeah, no, it's now here is like almost 9 in the morning here. So
I'm so sorry. Right, that makes sense, of course.
So I have that prize, the critic one in Cinema Jove, that is one of the most important festivals here in Valencia. And we were like, really, for me, it's really strange because I didn't expect that. Critics are always like 85% of critics are men, and some men think that Dana is not okay. So I was surprised.
Cool. I mean, I can see it absolutely being a critic's darling. It's the sort of film. I mean, first, I can't imagine that many audiences not loving it. But also, I would imagine it would expand really easily into a feature project. Has anyone pitched you on that idea?
Yes, at the beginning, Dana, I thought about Dana as a feature.
I'm sorry, what?
I thought when I started writing Dana, like the idea, I thought about to doing a feature.
Oh, a feature. I'm sorry. Okay, yeah.
But sorry, my accent is Spanish.
No, it's the sound as well. The sound dropped out for a moment. It wasn't your accent so much.
And the thing is that I changed to a short film because I think it's like, you have I think it's a good short film. And for a feature, I still don't have the idea, like.
Okay.
I think it's much better as a short film. I don't know. Maybe I am writing a feature with a character between Marta and Dana,
Okay.
It's a mix, and this is going to be a feature. If I have the money, it's impossible to do it by myself. I need a production company, so we will see. Because doing a short film is possible, because you have maybe 5 years of depth or 10. I don't know. Please, I need the grant.
Yeah.
But a feature is impossible. No?
It's a big undertaking financially, even the very low budget ones. I
And
will
the
say
blood
that
is expensive. The blood, if you have blood, everything is really expensive, because you can use your clothes, because you need 3 of everything.
Everything gets ruined. Depending what you use, though. I mean, Ramsey was talking about a stage blood. Back in my day, I used to use red and yellow food coloring with a bit of green and corn syrup, and sometimes photo flow, but not if you're putting it in people's mouths. And
here we have like different types of blood, because we have the effects, practical effects, was did by David Ambit, is one of the best here in Spain. He did Rec.
Yeah, okay.
So it's
he's from DDT? One. Is he from the company DDT, the effects group?
Inside Effects.
Okay.
The name is Inside Effects, like the practical one. The other effects, it was made by Marta. They 2 people who work for The Mill, a company of effects. The Mill is a big one.
Okay.
And I met them in the Fry Fest, the London one.
In the UK. Yeah, starting in like UK, 2 weeks. Fry Fest is amazing.
They really like Marta, and they say, hey, if you have another short film, you can tell us. And I asked them 2 years before, and I say, I don't know if you remember me. Yes, we have the t-shirt, and we still talk about Marta. And it's like, okay, do you want to make Dana? And it's like, maybe we like it, and they like it. And Marta did the letters.
Oh, okay, yeah.
She's amazing, and her husband put more blood in some places that we needed, because when you are shooting, you put blood, but suddenly Dana was like 15 I don't know
stabs,
and after I thought we don't have enough blood, and we have like liters of blood, but we didn't put it, because we have different type of blood. The vitamin one, the makeup one, we have 3 types. We have a lot of blood, like a lot, but it's like sweet. When you taste it, it's sweet.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice.
Yeah, like syrup.
It's nice. Okay. Yes, it's not.
Cool. I wanted to ask specifically, hang on, sorry, I've got to go back and my notes are all over the place. Thais, I'm sure I just mispronounced her name. Thais Bloom, your lead actress for Dana and also Marta. I mean, it's clear the 2 of you have a fantastic working methodology. Do you plan, first, did you write Dana with her in mind, or Dana with her in mind? And do you plan to make your next film with her too?
Yes, I met her in a micro theater, like a really small play, and I thought she was like, I don't know, I didn't know her, and she's really famous here in Spain, but I don't watch too many serials, too many TV serials, and I didn't know her, and I say to my friend, wow, your friend is a really good actress. Is she a professional? Like, she do that for living? And my friend say, okay, Lucía, if you want to ask her for a short film, you have to look for database because she has a lot of works. And it's like, okay. And she say yes to shoot Marta, because when I met her, it was like, wow, I have the screenplay of Marta, not the end of the short film, but when I met her, it was like, wow, she's my Marta. It's like, she's Marta. And I fell in love. It's like, she's my Marta. And I was right. She was Marta. She's amazing. And when I wrote Dana, I wrote Dana thinking in Thais, and I am writing the future thinking in her too, because
Great.
she's amazing. She's really a good actress, and it's really easy to work with her. And I think it's my alter ego, because we are
That's what I was gonna say.
like in the same age rate. So I don't know. It's like it's really it's quite of a strange, because she's not like that, you know. She's not like Marta at all, or as Dana, but she's a
Sure.
really good actress. She's not a big fan of horror, but
Oh, she's not.
no, she's not. But now she's a fan of horror. Like, you know, she like horror, or she like drama. You know.
Sure. Yeah. I was saying, if you like film, you like film, and you like all kinds of films. But essentially, when people try to compartmentalize things within genre definitions, they could think that there's all sorts of stuff they don't like, and then be very surprised when they see those things, if they don't see them identified or present them within that genre trapping. And that's what I've learned over the years.
Yeah.
But you can feel in the film, like there's certain times where you see that there's a star and filmmaker relationship where they clearly understand each other and work really well with each other. And that's definitely the case with you and her. So I'm very happy to hear. Sorry?
But you saw Marta too.
I did. Marta was on. So for those who don't know, Marta's a serial killer film geek film, I guess you can say, because she's a serial killer that's also a film geek. And it was on our short list. We didn't end up playing it, but it came very close. No pun intended when I say a short film was on the short list. But it was really accomplished. We all really, really liked it. I feel bad that we didn't play. And of course, when I saw Dana and realized that it was you, I was like, oh my God.
It's okay.
But yeah. In any case, I liked Marta. It was just, yeah. In any case, but yeah, you and Thais Bloom are just such a fantastic creative pairing. I'm very, very happy to hear that you're going to continue to do that together. In terms of tone of the movie, one thing I really love is that, you know, I feel like Dana has a certain lineage to a special subgenre of film, you know, where it's like, say, a Miss 45 or a Baise-Moi or Gun for Jennifer. There really aren't that many of them. They're very special kinds of revenge films. And this film is much more grounded in reality and has, in a sense, it's not as graphic or as raging as those other films were, but it feels much more powerful, much in a weird way, I guess you could say almost not as raging, but angrier. If that's the way to put it, that's probably not. But there's just, because it never goes to volume 11, it just has a certain severity, a certain dramatic edge, like a deeper weight that, and I love those other films. I mean, they were transformative films to me, particularly Miss 45 when I was a teen. But in any case, yeah, I just curious to know in terms of film influences leading to Dana.
I didn't wrote Dana thinking about a rape and revenge, but it's true that it's a rape and revenge. So after writing Dana, I revised all the. I avoid to watch rape films with rapes, because I don't like the way that they show it.
Yeah.
Mainly is doing by men, and we have a problem with that, because sometimes even if the main character is the girl who is going to suffer the rape, when we are watching the rape, we are watching the
male
point
gaze?
of view of the rapist.
Yes.
And in Miss 45, for example,
Specifically in Miss 45, yeah.
It's like,
and it's Abel Ferreira playing the rapist.
Yes, and it's like,
yeah.
It made me really annoyed, because I understand that, for example, in the 70s with I Spit on Your Grave, this is okay. I don't have enough words for that film. It's like it's the perfect example of a film who is made for a man for men, because the victim is all the time like naked in the screen, and is raped like I don't know how many times, 10,
multiple
I don't know
times.
how, multiple
it's
times.
a really
And
tough film to watch.
No, and it's annoying because when she wants to have the revenge, he have sex with the rapist. It's like, okay, you are a man writing a film. It's like, this is not. It is really annoying for me. So I watch rape and revenge films, but I try not to watch so much because I get annoyed because of the point of view.
Certainly. But have you seen Baise-moi?
Which one?
Baise-moi?
We have a
Virginie Despentes film, because that was made by two women, and that's the one that I think would really resonate with you. Perhaps. It's a really upsetting film. It's really hard to watch, but powerful. No, and Gun for Jennifer as well, directed by Matt, written and starring the creative force behind the film.
Revenge, the Jennifer. Revenge, are you telling, no?
Yeah, the other one was Gun for Jennifer, yeah. But Baise-moi is the one that I think you would really, really love.
And revenge is true that people say, no, but it could be made by a man. And it's like, yes, it could be, but it's made by a woman. And I noticed because when we have the rape, we don't have the point of view of the man. We have like, sorry. I don't know. I think it's important to be aware how we show the rapes,
Absolutely.
Because sometimes it's like a pornographic thing, and it's like, this is not porno. This is a really, really disgusting thing. Mm-hmm. And sometimes in some horror festivals, when you have a rape, you hear like sounds that is not, the audience is like,
like, really?
It's like, oh my God. In Sitges, we have at 1 o'clock in the morning, we have films until 7.
Where it's the triple bill at the auditory, in the big auditory at the bottom of the Melia.
And you saw the film Into the Woods. Is disgusting.
Yeah.
It's the only time in my life that I go out.
You walked out.
Because at the fifth time that the 15 years old was raped, I think, and with the it was really disgusting. It's like, I don't need to watch 5 times that girl is being raped. Mm-hmm. And the point of view is like, okay, she's the victim. Why are you showing me like the beauty of the ass, of the beauty of no.
Yeah.
Patricio Valladares, I hate that film. I don't know. I was watching that film, and suddenly in the audience, men was like,
like laughing or
like enjoying. But the thing is that it's treated like a pornographic thing, so they will enjoy it.
So it's coded to get people to respond.
You are watching a rape, but you are showing it as a pornographic thing. For that reason, guys are doing that sounds. And
that's pretty ugly.
It's pretty ugly, but
the Michael Winter films tend to treat rape that way as well.
I will.
But, the Death Wish movies and things like this. He was a British director working in America. But in any case, mentioning those films to say how Deanna stands apart is nowhere near as graphic, both in terms of the rape sequence, but also in terms of the kills that come after. And it has a much more grounded ferocity to it, and a genuine heartache, a genuine anguish to it that really, really resonates. In any case, and of course, now having known you for your personal experience, I more than understand that it wasn't quoting any other films, certainly. I just brought those films up as sort of as a point to talk about style and things like this.
I think you say that it was like angry. I think we are all angry with that situation, no? It's like
anyone should be. Anger is a natural human response to that kind of violence.
And we have it's not a real case, but all the rapists are based on some real rapists. In Spain, we have a law, and they derogación. I don't know the name in English, but suddenly, like 16 rapists was released at the same time.
What? Just as some kind of a concept. Let's just release many rapists at once on the same.
This is it's not a real. Is not a real. I changed the name of the law, and I changed the amount of rapists, and I changed the names and things.
But that's the spirit of what it was.
Yeah, and the one that Deanna killed at the first time, the one who tried to rape her, it's based on a Spanish rapist that he raped more than 70 girls.
70? 70?
70, and he killed 2. And I changed the dates. But it's like he started being in prison in 79, and it sounds as a fiction, but it's not fiction.
We hear stories of that occasionally. It never stops being shocking. I mean, that's an enormous number.
I changed the names and everything because it's like you don't need to put the real name.
Sure, yeah. Oof. So I see we already have some questions in the Q&A field, and I'll mention it to the audience. You can type into the Q&A field and ask us questions. And also, I want to encourage the filmmakers. I know you've all watched each other's works. If you want to throw questions to each other as well, please don't hold back. That's always wonderful. So going into the Q&A. So Alyssa mentions, I'm in love with the visual style of LUCID. I was wondering if we could hear about how the filmmaker went about finding the film's visual voice.
Well, that was a lot of, like we were saying before, that we were influenced by the giallo kind of films. Ramsey and I talked a lot about the visual style. We were influenced by using a lot of pop color and a quick cut. There's a lot of edits in our film. How many?
A lot. Like, I know. When our colorist got it, he was like, "Oh man!"
Yeah, he was shocked.
He was shocked.
And what else? How else would we do the concept? Seems like so long ago now.
I mean, we actually did storyboard a fair bit of stuff, but then a lot of it came to us on the day. But there was, it was an obsessively deep dive into giallo world.
Mm-hmm.
There was I won't deny that. Like that was I think probably the biggest, and we watched a lot.
Yeah.
We watched a lot of giallo.
Yeah, and we lived together, so we kept shooting after the film was done.
Perfect.
So if we needed an extra shot of like close-ups of the blender or things like that we would shoot that in our living room, or we decided we wanted like a little weird sea monster thing in one point that we went down to the basement and made this like thing for that.
Once we hit post-production, it was COVID lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
So we suddenly had
all the time for post.
We're like, let's just fill this thing up with.
That's amazing. So every day became insert day whenever you needed it to be.
So it's like, so we would go to the weird supermarket and find squid tentacles and drag them across the painting. And we just started playing with a lot of stuff, and we thought, how could we make this just as totally bizarre? And I know a lot of the images, they're there maybe not a direct connection to actual narrative, but then there were such evocative images. Oh, actually, one non-giallo influence, which you might actually see in some of the stuff too, was the color of pomegranates. Was Parajanov's the color of pomegranates with like the knife and we did like split open a pomegranate and the fish being split open. Actually, that was one of the big influences there too.
Yeah.
We saw it, and it was like every frame of that film is just so dazzling and amazing. We couldn't believe it.
And we stuck to a strict color palette. Like we had a color palette and made sure that the costumes and set were reflecting all of that. And red was a big, it was a kind of a signal of when she was getting close to when she was on the right track. We would use that. So yeah, it was a labor of love for sure. All of that stuff. Yeah, the details were the best part.
Excellent. Thanks.
So
Vincenzo asks, I was wondering what the influences were behind the more sci-fi elements in Inheritance. So that question's kind of been answered, but if there's more to say.
Yeah, I mean, I think the influence or like the inspiration for it came from like being around those maple tapping lines like all through my childhood, and sort of like realizing that if you don't live in Canada or the Northeast, like in places where it exists, like it looks totally foreign. And like, and I talked about the electricity and the McCoy field and all of that. I think that like I just really love intersections between science fiction and like horror, all of that, hauntings. So was like, didn't realize that was what I was doing, because I think at one point the spirits were actually like they were just people in the very first draft, and then they became something a little bit more ethereal as I got
people
going.
Who were watching. Oh, okay. You mean just in terms of the way they were depicted?
Yeah, in terms of they were depicted, but also like what they could do. Like they were just like neighbors initially, and then they became like spirits who could be in many places and were kind of like eternal. And then I realized that I had these genres mashing up against each other, but I just love that. And
you do it really, really well.
So thank you.
Cool.
Can I ask where you shot in Vermont? Where was it in Vermont?
It's a town called Shrewsbury. The nearest like big city is Rutland.
Okay.
So like kind of Southish,
yeah. Okay, yeah. No, I shot a film in Vermont, sort of outside Woodstock a couple of years ago.
Oh, cool.
When I saw that forest, I was like, oh, I recognize that Vermont forest feel. It's an amazing feel there. But I also know the sense of when you're in the woods and nobody has any cell phone reception, and there are no lights at night, and you are so far away from anything. I totally know that feeling. So, and
it's so green. It's like it's the greenest thing you'll ever look at. I really felt that when I did the moment I saw it, because I thought, and then I saw the Vermont sign and I thought, is it really Vermont? I thought it must be Vermont, because I can recognize it in that green, that special green of Vermont. Yeah, love that. Oh man.
So do any of you have any other questions perhaps for each other, or? I see we've been going for over an hour and a half, and I'm wide awake now, actually. But I know my tech guy, or I say our tech guy, has been working since early this morning.
Oh my God.
So I feel bad kind of keeping him stuck on this. So I think we should probably wrap, although I'm really loving this and don't want it to end.
Yeah, I would love to stay in contact with all of you. I was blown away by all of your films. I'm so inspired by all of you guys, and I would love to follow what you're doing. So even if we connect on Instagram or something, it would be awesome.
Yeah,
I love
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
No, it was an amazing, it was
Incredible.
just, yeah, Mitch, it was just an incredible
Yeah.
block of films. I mean, it was just like, you know, there are, you know, in any festival, you kind of get the block of shorts and it's, you know, there are highs and lows and everything. This was just like,
There's no filler.
amazing,
Good.
amazing. Really
It's such a
good.
joy putting short film programs together and
Yeah.
finding when there's like interesting repeat
Yeah.
overlapping or intersecting thematics and returning iconographies. And
Yeah.
it's yeah, thank you. It's
Yeah.
it's a real pleasure to be able to do these.
Really, really
Yeah.
such a
Thank
pleasure.
you,
And there's
Mitch.
just so much great filmmaking out there.
Yeah.
Like just truly 10 out of 10 works. There's so much fantastic stuff.
Yeah.
Well, thanks all of you for trusting us with your films.
Oh,
And we're all in that email thread, so everyone has each other's contact info.
great.
Yeah.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Thank you so much, Mitch. And
We're so late in the
Fantasia.
night now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Almost.
I'm going back to bed.
Almost morning.
All right. Well, it was a pleasure talking to all of you.
Great to meet everybody.
Thank you so
both.
much.
Good talking to
Everyone.
everybody.
Yeah.
All
Thank
right.
you,
Be
Mitch.
well, everyone.
Amazing.
Thanks, Mitch.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Take care, guys.